Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Tuesday. We're on Tuesday in card number 6. But before I start card number 6, I need to have some full disclosure with everybody, and I want to apologize. I know that the perspectives are usually longer because I tend to ramble and share a lot, and they're probably longer than they actually need to be. But I have to be honest, I've been struggling with these cards, and I almost gave up on them and thought, no, I can't. But the reason I wanted to have full disclosure here is I know these shows are going to be short for a while. I've been doing a lot of journaling, and I've been doing a lot of healing, and every healing is a work in progress. Even when you get to that end point, there's still always something else, right, that comes up. But I've been in this terrible spiral. And so I've really, winging it has not been that easy for me. And usually it's really, really easy for me. In fact, it's so funny because I know there's something kind of wrong with me because I can't see that well right now. And it might be stress or something. So I wanted full disclosure because I wanted to apologize. But I do know there are 60 cards. And I know at some point I am going to be back to the person that you recognize on these videos. And I also wanted to just be honest because I don't want people to be ashamed of their mental health. It can be debilitating at times. It can be scary. Some people will say, well, I always see you like this. Well, I'm not always like this, but sometimes these spirals are so big and they get so big that it takes a while to figure out how to climb out. Think of it if you've ever seen The Dark Knight Rises, right? Bruce Wayne ends up in this pit, right? And like a jail where Bane puts all these people that he doesn't like. And, there's a rope. You can try to get out. But, he struggles over and over and over again until finally the guy in the cell next to him, who was the doctor, says, do what the little girl did. Don't use the rope. You got to let fear set back in. And so as scary as it can be to let fear set back in, if we keep running from fear and running and running and running, all we're doing is continually allowing it to chase us. And as we continually allow it to chase us, we're not facing it. And that's kind of what I did. I finally took my stand. I'm facing it. And it's always something new, right? This morning I realized it's like I've had this trigger eating going on. And it's just like, what is happening? And I didn't even think about that until baby sibling asked me this morning. She's all, what's triggering it? I'm like, I have no idea. And then this song popped in my head. And it was so random, this song. But there was only one line that kept popping up in this song. And I'm like, oh, that's it. I bet that's the issue I need to work on. And it was just, I'm telling you, my spirit guides, they know how to talk to me. Because movies, songs, books, sometimes the cards, the oracle cards, my higher powers, they got me. But, so I started working on that and I realized, okay, this must be part of it. And it's a huge, big thing, but it's really not as big as, I think sometimes we make it. So I just wanted to apologize. I just wanted to let you know where my brain is. I wanted to let you know we're going to keep going with these vortex cards, and I'm going to do the best that I can as I'm working through this other stuff. To be honest with you, it is hard because I have to push my brain to the limit. And you've seen me at work sometimes. We're just like, la, 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 la. You're just going and going and going and going and going. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's like all of a sudden the battery just died. No warning, no nothing. Nothing slowed down. It's like the battery just died. It's like, oh crap. So anyways, good morning, Eileen. So that's that. So please, I do hope you stick with this because, getting into the vortex or getting into self-awareness, it even says it in there that it's really about getting into self-awareness and the relationship with yourself. Again, for anybody that's new, this, we previously, in the last set of things I did, we built the foundation and then we started building the house of self-love. And this is about decorating it. This is about making it a warm place to be and a warm, inviting place for people to want to come in and visit. So let's get going. I'm just for the next couple of days, I'm probably just going to do the cards, no starts to anything, just jump right into it. So, my most important relationship is with my source. My most important relationship is with my source. There's no relationship of greater importance to achieve than the relationship between you and your physical body right here and now, and the soul slash source slash God from which you have come. If you tend to that relationship first and foremost, you will then and only then have the stable footing to proceed into other relationships. Your relationship with your own body, with money, and with your parents, children, grandchildren, and your world will all fall easily into alignment once you tend to this fundamental relationship first. Now, I like how they put this. They put soul or source or God. Basically, they're covering any belief system. Do you believe in God? Maybe you don't. Do you have a higher power, which is source or your higher power? Or are you just somebody who doesn't believe there's anything out there, period? When you die, you die. Then, it's a relationship with your soul. So it's really about getting into self. It's about moving inward and really kind of lighting that candle inside of you so that you can shine outwards. And if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling like you're all over the place, I know you're probably saying, well, this is you, Shelly Marie. It kind of is, but I'm leaning into my sources. I'm leaning into my higher powers. And I'm also leaning into my soul, because it's my soul that needs to be healed. But if you do have a source or a higher power, you can reach out to them and ask them, hey, I need your help because I'm feeling a little lost. And like I said this morning when I was talking about the trigger thing, it's like I had no idea what it was. And then, like I said, for almost an hour, this one lyric in this whole song, this really long 6-7 minute song, it was from a Broadway show, just kept ringing and ringing, or rolling and rolling and rolling and looping in my head until finally it dawned on me. It's like I literally just stopped and said, why is this particular line in my head? And why won't it just go away? And I have to admit, the minute I figured it out, and that it was something I had to journal about, that song has not been in my head since. Except when I'm talking about it, because I'm remembering it. But I'm going to read this again. My most important relationship is with my source. Now see, it looks like the person, the woman here, or whoever, however you identify, is looking inward to that source. And this, in the Maori tradition or the Polynesian tradition, this would be considered the koru or the koru. But in other cultures, I have noticed this same spiral. And this spiral means life. Continuing life. And in every single culture I have seen this in, it has meant the same thing. Continuing life. The spiral of life. So it's really about getting into self. And to also leaning in, again, to your source, your soul, or your higher power. God, soul, source. And, just asking them for help. Now, here's the thing. So, a lot of, and I promise I'm not bashing anybody. I'm basically leaning in to my own upbringing when I say that I think we have a really big misconception about what God is all about. Okay, and this is getting a little more specific because I am talking, because I do know that people of all walks of life watch this, whether they're religious or not religious, and they might say, well, I don't have a God, but well, you might have a God, but just might not be the mainstream God, right? So that's why the card says source. And again, if you don't believe anything, period, that is out there, then it's about your soul. It's about your relationship with your soul. But to the people out there that did grow up in organized religion or might be in religion, I've had my own relationship with God for quite some time now. And I see him very differently than I used to growing up. We're afraid to ask for things because we're told, well, God doesn't have time to answer little things like that. Well, God is omnipresent. Okay, the archangels are omnipresent, which means God can be with 1 billion people all at once. Okay? Which means that he has time for you, which means that he is with you, every single person on the planet that believes in God. Okay, he is with every single person at every single moment. Because again, he's omnipresent, which, does make him a pretty busy guy. But he has those bits about him. He can do that, if that is your belief. And we're taught that we're not allowed to ask for things, that we're not allowed to, well, you can't ask for money. Well, why not? You're asking God for an opportunity, and maybe he'll give it to you through an opportunity, or maybe he'll just bless you financially. And that's basically with any higher power. But again, I'm focusing more on this one because this is what I grew up with. This is, this was the teaching that I got. You know, we ask God for world peace. We ask God to end hunger. We ask God to end war. But maybe we're thinking a little too big. Ask God to help people find a way to feed the hungry. Ask God to help people find a way to find peace and no more war. I mean, yeah, you can still pray for no more war. I mean, I'm not saying you can't. I think it's a great idea. We should all be praying for that. And to end hunger and end homelessness. But sometimes we also have to, we put the big picture out there. We also have to work on the little picture. What can I do to help this? What can I do to move forward in my own life? What can I do to make my situation better? It's not selfish, and this is a whole big part of self-love. It's about taking care of yourself. If you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of other people? If you let your cup get so empty, how are you going to serve or give or help from an empty cup? You're depleted. There's nothing left in you. So it's okay to ask for things. It may not come to you the way you expect it. But again, like I always say, if you're setting an intention, setting a manifestation, or saying a prayer, this or something better. Amen. So be it, and so it is. However you finish your prayers. But please don't get trapped in the thinking that you can't ask for things. A lot of religions teach God to be a very fearful person. While people say, I'm a God-fearing person. Why are we fearing God? There's only, if you believe in heaven and hell, there's probably only one person you should be afraid of, and even them you shouldn't be afraid of. You have to stand in your power. That's how you beat bad things. You stand in your power. And the way you stand in your power is by reminding yourself that whatever it is you lean to, in and into, whether it's your soul, a source, or God, whoever your source is, let that empower you. Let that build you up. That's why it's talking about all these things. When it says your relationship with your own body, with money, with your parents, children, grandchildren, and your world will all fall easily into alignment once you tend to this fundamental relationship first. You have to settle into that. You have to trust. I told you at the beginning, trust and believing is going to be huge during this entire card reading. It is going to be big. Because one of the things we struggle with as humans is trusting completely. It's about taking that leap and knowing the net will appear. Not hoping, knowing the net will appear. It's like walking off of a cliff and knowing that you have a parachute on your back. That's the whole point. It's about complete trust. And I think for me, my whole spiral is because I'm learning how to just go with the flow. And going with the flow is fine, but I tend to put on the brakes too many times because change has never been easy for me. I told you how I tend to, I put on the brakes a lot because I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I got a text message. I don't know how the text message got through, but I got a text message, so it kind of threw me. But change is hard for me. And the reason it's hard for me is because I used to have this whole wall built up. And I've talked about my trauma in the past. I've talked about how there was this traumatized me, and then this, good family life with my awesome parents, me. And they got separated somehow. And so change has always been hard because I always had to protect that secret. And once that secret kind of became known and came out, it wasn't a secret anymore. My parents knew and everything. It was hard. It was difficult. I mean, we had to deal with it as a family because they were like, well, why didn't you say something? It's like, you know what? They told me to say something when I was a kid. Unfortunately, I was groomed very young before that talk. And that talk was when I was like 5. So, yeah, pretty young. But the point is that since a very young age, since all this forming stuff happens in your head and how you grow up, there's always been this part of me that has had to just feel like I had to wall myself up and kind of stay the same. So change is not always easy for me. And I'm learning, because I love change. That's the ironic part. I love change because it's fun to see things unfolding and all these wonderful, amazing things happening in front of you, and embracing it and accepting it and saying, wow, thank you for all these great things. But without trust, it's hard for those things to continue to come in. Without believing, it's hard to allow these things to come in. So whether it is your soul / source / God, embrace it. Fix your relationship. Work on your relationship. And again, they give you 3 options. Your soul, if you're a person who is, doesn't believe in anything outside of what is now, or this body, this earth, this life. Source, and that's for anybody who steps outside of the mainstream religion. And God, who is the mainstream religion. And lean into those. Work with it. If you're sitting there going, well, how do I work with my soul? Whatever it is that you need to do to make you happy, whatever it is that brings joy to you, work with that. If you're starting to feel like you're caving in a little bit, give yourself time to rest. Don't, belittle yourself. Don't berate yourself. Give yourself some compassion and empathy. Give yourself some grace. Because life can be hard. Believe it or not, even for people who we may put on pedestals and think, oh my God, I want my life to be just like theirs. Their lives aren't easy either. Yeah, they may be able to have anything they want, but that doesn't mean their lives are easy. I mean, look on the bright side. You have anonymity, okay? People don't go hounding you while you're trying to have dinner somewhere. So, and that's okay. I mean, people, whatever it is, it is. But I mean, for people out there that say, oh, blah, blah, there's always going to be someone that has something to say about something. Okay? But just enjoy change. Just enjoy change. Trust it and believe in it. And work on this relationship, okay? Your most important relationship is with your source. Whether it's your soul, a higher power, or God. Okay? I have a very full spiritual table, so all 3 of these cover me. But yeah, it can be scary, but I promise you it is worth it. It is worth it to just lean into trust, lean into believing, and leaning into, working with your soul, your source, or God. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for hanging in there. And thank you so much for sticking with me, guys. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, I'm very honest about my mental health, only because I don't want it to be stigmatized anymore. I mean, I wish it could just go away like that. Like some people think it does. Like, are you still feeling that way? It's like, sorry, there's no timetable on this. It is what it is. It happens as it happens. And one day you wake up and you're like, whoa, I feel totally better today. I must have cleaned everything up. Yay. So however it works, okay? But don't ignore it. Again, don't run from it. Run at it. Okay? The reason I say run at it is run at it like you are William Wallace in that first battle in Braveheart. Again, completely historically inaccurate movie, but so much fun to watch. So, there were little tidbits of historical accuracies in there, but I do love that movie. So, I only put that disclaimer in there because I don't want people to go, but Shelley, it's like, I know. It's like, I don't know very much about Scottish history, but I know I love that movie. But yeah, think of it that way. You're running at something. You're running at it at full force, because you know what? Sometimes if you run at it, yeah, see, even Eileen likes it. If you're running at it, it might turn and run away. Oh, here's another good example. Since we're on movies, Gladiator, right? With Russell Crowe. Great movie. No idea how accurate that movie is. Don't really care. Fun, entertaining. Russell Crowe. Hi. So, but what I liked about it was that this is a person who was meant to be killed, found his family dead, got captured as a slave, basically sold on the market, and then ended up being forced into being a gladiator, kind of hiding who he was the whole time, that he was this general of this big Roman army. And, you know, he ran at the problem. He didn't run away from it. I mean, it depending on how you look at the end of the movie, it either ended well for him or it didn't. As the character, I think he got what he wanted, to be with his family. But he also got revenge. That was the big part. But my point is that he ran at something. He ran at something that was meaningful, that was purposeful, that you know, he ran against tyranny. You know, instead of running away from it, he ran towards it. So I'm not saying grab a sword and go kill people. That's bad. Okay, that is bad. But obviously, but I better say that anyways, as a disclaimer, that is bad. But my point is, when you look at your fear and you look at the change, if you keep running from it, it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like a snowball. Or like, you know, if you ever saw the old 50s movie, The Blob, right? Every time it sucked up a human being, it got bigger. So, I know. I grew up on some really strange movies. What can I say? My father is a class A B film fanatic. So, but anyways, but yeah, it just got bigger and bigger, right? Until you start to figure out how can I destroy this fear? And the first step is to get in touch again with your soul, your source, your higher power, and face it. Because that starts to take the power away. That starts to take the power away. And don't be afraid to ask your higher powers for things. Don't be afraid to ask God for things. And don't ask from a place of desperation. Ask from a place of, thank you for this. I appreciate it. Because it will open up a doorway. It'll open up the wiggle room. And whether it is directly what you asked for, or something leading, an opportunity, or something like a little, here you go, follow this and it'll happen kind of thing. When you trust and believe in what you're asking for, it will happen. You just have to believe. When you ask from a place of desperation, that is not believing. When you set an intention or a manifestation from a place of desperation, you're just going to bring more desperation into yourself. You have to trust and believe, okay? Those are the key words for today: trusting and believing. And like I said at the beginning of these vortex cards, those two words are going to be very, very, very much a part of this whole journey. All right. So again, I apologize for it just kept going. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see you everyone tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is Self-Care Wednesday and card number 7 of getting into self-awareness, or the vortex. And 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Facebook Live. It's under Shelley Marie Lucas. Anybody can watch. Thank you so much, Eileen, for popping on today. I appreciate you very, very much. And I also upload it to YouTube and to a Facebook page, both under the Aloha Perspective. And then you can find it on other social media. If you don't have a lot of time, I do a very short TikTok on the Aloha Perspective where I just read the card and then I also put it on Instagram. All right. So hope everybody has a great, great day. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for hanging in there. Have a great day, everybody.